Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans podcast. My name's Justin Woods, and today I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Erin Gilpin and Colum Coleman. And for our 21st episode, we're bringing it all the way back over to Asia, and we're going to be talking about I would say one of the greatest ecological disasters. What would you have to say, Colum?
Well, it certainly is a tragedy and seemingly a very preventable one. This is our 21st episode of Historical Humans, so we are now, of course, drinking age as a podcast.
I'll
Here in
drink
the,
to that.
That's a bad joke.
but I'm
45
running
seconds
with it.
in, bad joke.
But I'm running with it as we hear all the beer cans pop.
Hey, we're a
Yeah,
Coca-Cola podcast. Thank you.
yeah, we're a Diet Coke podcast. Oh, I guess you're drinking regular Coke.
Oh,
Yeah.
please sponsor us, Coca-Cola.
I ain't made it to diabetes yet.
I sure as hell ain't with the great and refreshing taste of Diet Coke.
Don't start. Don't
All right,
start.
let's
We are
go
not.
into the tragedy.
All right.
Enough shilling for a
So
company that won't
today,
pay us.
this is about as happy as we're going to be this entire podcast. As today's topic for number 21 is the Bhopal Gas Tragedy.
And where did
Uh,
that take
this is
place?
this was the worst industrial accident in history at the time of its occurrence in 1984. It occurred in the city of Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh, India, and there were, let's just say, effectively several thousand tons of pesticide was released into the city
Oh.
as an
Like,
airborne contaminant.
Ooh.
are we talking DDT, like the one that has been used to essentially nuke all insect life within a 20-mile radius,
Well,
or like
well, this
something
this
worse?
this was methyl isocyanide, uh,
Oh.
which is the most reactive chemical in its class. Um, it is a toxin. It is used in a lot of pesticides to kill a lot of insects and plant eating insects because of how toxic it is. And it has a violent, and I do mean violent, reaction with heat and water, which makes somewhere like India the worst possible place to manufacture it.
That's like trying to That's like trying to light a match in a literal bomb factory. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm
Who
just a,
thought that was a good idea? They would literally just go, you know what? This stuff reacts violently to heat and moisture.
I'm just gonna
Let's put it in India.
I'm gonna light a cigarette here. Like, let me go smoke right next to this bomb factory.
It would
Oh,
have been
it's like in Ukraine, all the Russians smoking next to ammunition depots.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, this is probably the most stupid idea. Consider after like deciding to put all the arms and ammunitions in the Parthenon during the Ottoman Venetian Wars.
Well,
Yeah.
you know
To
why
be
they
fair,
did
the
that.
Ottomans didn't think the Venetians could shoot that high. They were wrong. That was a miscalculation on their part. And one of the things that makes the release of this gas so incredibly dangerous is methyl isocyanide is that rare toxin that does it all. Most toxins, natural, chemical, man-made, any of them, target one particular organ or organ system in the body, like the pulmonary system for the heart or the nervous system to shut down your spine. Methyl isocyanide attacks every single organ in any living thing.
Oh.
It is incredibly lethal.
And we're just using this to kill pests.
This is used to make pesticides. It's an ingredient in pesticides,
One of the
an
ingredients.
ingredient in rubber. That's right. This is used to make your tires.
I will never look at my Dodge Caliber the same again.
I mean, after the weekend I had, you could see why it's a deadly compound.
So don't burn rubber, kids. It might look cool in street races, but you might have organ failure if you breathe in the smoke.
All right, so I'm going to take us through the fateful 3 days of this accident, because it took 3 days for this hellscape to truly unleash itself.
3 days, Jesus Christ.
So we begin with the Union Carbide's Bhopal plant, which has three 68,000-liter methyl isocyanide tanks.
Wow, that's a lot of chemicals.
It is making a lot. This is a big manufacturing center. Prior to December 1st, the night of the incident, tank E610 becomes defective. It loses its ability to contain nitrogen gas. Now, nitrogen gas is an inert gas, and it prevents methyl isocyanide from reacting violently with everything else in existence. This gas begins leaking from the tank. This causes the tank to lose pressure, and the methyl isocyanide fills beyond the safety regulation limit for the tank.
Oh no.
No tank is supposed to contain more than 50% methyl isocyanide at any time.
So you're telling me not only did the protective measure leak out, but then it basically just filled up a bomb with more bomb.
Yep.
Now, they only had one failsafe?
Well, now the people at Bhopal, they hit the switch. Production is stopped for a methyl isocyanide, and in response to this.
Okay, that seems standard.
However,
oh no.
On December 1st, they send in crews to repair the tank, and they manage to disable every safety protocol in the entire plant at once.
Oh, no.
Everything goes offline during the repair. The repair then fails.
It just makes me think of those cartoons where it's like, oh, I'm going to plug this one thing in, so let me pull this big power cable, and it just tears out all of the city's electricity.
I mean, like, so I get like the crew is like, okay, if we shut I understand like hindsight's 2020, and the crew, this was probably like the procedure that the crew was probably supposed to go through.
No.
Oh,
they shut out the system. It's a system-wide malfunction in the entire safety network of the plant. It all goes down. This was not an intentional shut off of the safety measures.
Oh, so this was literally the perfect storm.
Yeah. Oh, it gets worse. Because December 2nd, so far the gas is contained. Safety is down. The plant is defective, but the gas remains in the tank. Water begins to leak into tank E610.
Oh no.
Methyl isocyanide reacts violently with water. Part of that reaction is the production of extreme heat, which further irritates methyl isocyanide. And pressure in this tank increases 5-fold within 1 hour.
Holy shit.
By midnight on December 2nd, the plant workers are suffering methyl isocyanide poisoning, which is nerve damage, blindness, and death. No alarm goes off.
Those poor workers.
At the Bhopal plant.
What? Why?
Because all the safety measures
were disabled.
Have been shorted out. So there is no warning for anyone.
Oh, so the safety measures include like an alarm.
The safety measures include any sort of meltdown alarm, any sort of notice that this is going wrong, which is why the plant workers start dying before they know that the gas is out of the tank.
Holy shit.
December 3rd, 1984. 45 tons of methyl isocyanide gas escapes into the environment. 30 tons are released during the first hour of the leak.
Wow.
Okay, 30 tons in 1 hour?
Yep.
Over how many square feet?
I did not get that information. However, it was leaked directly over a population center
Oh no.
Wait. So they had this factory. They had this factory that's like
in the middle of a city.
where, like,
It is
where
called,
I'm from, you can't even make fertilizer
it's
within city limits.
In a lot of places, it's very common that manufacturing centers are near populations.
the city of Bhopal is called the city of Bhopal, and it was built. This plant was built like right on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
good
dense
Lord.
urban area, and most people are made aware of the fact that this poison gas is coming towards them by being poisoned by the poison gas.
Oh.
Oh God, I feel
2,000 people die on December 3rd.
Wow.
15 to 20,000 more die from exposure afterwards.
Holy shit.
It is
Like-
the worst disaster to date as of 1984. We managed to top it as a species in the ensuing, 38 years. But still.
To kill
Wait.
20,000 people as a result of the incident. That is an absurd amount of people.
Oh, it's not just people. It killed all plant and animal life for several miles around Bhopal. It killed everything.
Yeah, because it's a pest. It's an ingredient pesticide that's designed to kill everything. So I just imagine just almost like
It is a concentrated kill compound used in pesticides. It is a
And the thing with that, too, the 30 tons in the first hour, the 5 times the normal pressure, that basically turned it into an aerosol can and was just spraying it right into the air in the atmosphere. No wonder it blanketed such a large portion of land.
wait. So this is supposed to be the worst tragedy to date in 1984.
Yeah, to date
When
as
was
of
the
1984.
What was
Yeah.
the Chernobyl incident?
Chernobyl, I believe, was
Was that 1986?
86 or 87.
Chernobyl comes later.
But was Chernobyl
yeah,
even
it's-
on this kind of scale?
So
Cher-
ecologically, yes, but not in terms of population kill.
in terms of human life. And Chernobyl happened in April of 86, and this happened in December of 84. So Bhopal predates Chernobyl.
But still, like the fact that like this is probably the first time. Well, one, I'm hearing about this, like other than going through the notes itself, but anyone else in like America, I don't know if they even knew about this.
It's doubtful.
20,000
Union
people used to
Carbide
live
is
here.
Union Carbide, the company responsible, is an American company.
Of
It
course.
is one that no longer exists. The Indian subsidiary of Bhopal, in charge of Union Carbide, that was in charge of Bhopal, they took the fall for this.
Of course.
Why is it always us? Why is it like when you ever see about these things?
It's that whole
somehow
thing of
us.
the
This is
problem
world
child.
This is world domination, Aaron. Okay, we
Well-
are everyone's problem, and everyone's problem is us.
Not to mention, this is basically neo-colonialism, just in a economic fashion.
So you mean capital hegemony,
It's
capitalistic
corporate.
hegemony?
Yep. And the tragedy gets worse, guys.
God bless
We're
America.
at 20,000 dead, and the tragedy gets worse.
How does
So-
it get worse?
Number one, the dead are left to rot in the street as the crematoriums of Bhopal are overwhelmed.
I
And
feel
cannot process the amount of dead that are being thrown at them.
for anyone who doesn't know anything about how the funerary process goes, crematories can only burn so many bodies per day before the crematoriums overheat.
Mhm.
So it's easy to understand how, with that information, it's easy to understand why the dead start to pile up, because you also can't dig that many graves either.
Yeah.
What happened
More
to the big
people are
tire
injured
fires?
from the mass panic as they attempt to flee the ever encroaching cloud of 20th century Vesuvius.
I was
Could
saying
you
that
see
this is
it?
gonna be some Vesuvius flashbacks.
Like, could you see it? Could you see the cloud coming towards you, and would you be able to run from it?
honestly, I
not-
feel like it'd be like, especially with specifically with Vesuvius, the gas itself, I feel like was originally just site like clear opaque, you know. So I assume this is the same situation with what is it,
Hmm.
methanol or methyl isocyanide. I feel like it'd just be, you couldn't really quite
So
see it.
methyl isocyanide is it evaporates quickly when exposed to air and is completely colorless while airborne. It
Oh.
does contain a strong pungent odor. Um, it you can smell it with as little as 2 parts per million, and it was at a lot more than that in um
In
when it was
Bhopal.
released in
So
Bhopal.
anyone at this like pretty much city center was already dead.
It smells like.
Those-
And
Like I like I said, 2,000 people killed immediately.
fuck.
Jesus,
Um,
Mary
yeah,
Joseph.
yeah. And after the dead have piled up to about 15 to 20,000 total, another 500,000 people suffered permanent damage, including blindness, nerve damage, and respiratory issues. You cannot breathe, you cannot move, you cannot see. This is
God
how the
damn.
gas kills you.
How so? How does even so? That's the thing I always wonder. Like this, well, I guess this is the thing that I wonder. So like, yeah, a company could probably pay like restitutions to like families or whatever. But what else is done? Like how does anyone or even any company, even if it's like fully dissolved, how does anyone like really pay for this? Because like,
There is no repercussions. I mean, if the
Uh,
company dissolves and there's no financial obligation,
yeah.
they can't pay for the like ecological cleanup. And in a lot of cases, when you look at companies that cause ecological disasters, very seldom do they actually foot the bill for it. One of the most notable ones was what was it, the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico,
yeah,
Yep.
I
dumped
was just
hundreds of
thinking that.
millions of gallons, and they didn't clean it up.
Not once, mind you. I remember the one back in 2010, like when I was a kid. But then there was also like the more recent one
Yeah.
where like there was that hellish like tornado, like fire oil vortex that was in the middle of the
Oh
Gulf.
yes, the flame tornadoes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
So there's nothing that's really done. The companies dissolve, and a lot of times they're subsidiaries. So the parent company, basically says, "Oh, it was a subsidiary. We cut them, cut our losses, and they move on. They're not held liable. They're not held responsible. There's very rarely any sort of justice that comes from it."
we
Yeah.
really do live
And
in a dystopia, don't we?
yeah. And speaking of that, so investigations are launched into why Bhopal failed, and they found that it was unequivocally the result of an understaffed, undermaintained, neglected plant. Um,
God damn
they
capitalism.
used they found that safety and operating procedures were often completely disregarded, and that is why when one safety valve failed, all of them failed because a number of them were literally just flashing lights on a screen. They
Yeah,
didn't actually connect to anything.
I think I just heard OSHA have a heart attack. Like I
No,
think OSHA's currently dying.
no. OSHA is dead and waiting to arise as an avenging fury as a result of this.
See,
Um,
this just makes me think of the whole Erin Brockovich case. Are you guys familiar with that?
I
No,
don't
I've
remember
never
that
heard
by
of it.
name.
So it's a pretty prominent case that has to do with fracking in the United States.
Oh god damn it.
Effectively, the town that she lived in was being fracked for shale oil, and it caused a lot of ecological disasters, or there was a huge spill, or something along those lines. Like it was a huge environmental disaster. Well, she trained herself in the law and took the company to court to fight against them, and actually won.
I don't know if anyone listening knows about law, but I've had a just by learning Latin, you understand like how much Latin's actually in law.
It's in
There's a
law.
lot of bullshit Latin in the laws that we have combined with legalese, which legally should be considered its own language. Even if it's written in English, it should legally be its own language. So the fact that this one woman did that is astounding.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing, and there is some very short-lived triumph as a result of this tragedy here in Bhopal. But before we get to that, So you can understand just how pathetic any effort on the part of Union Carbide has been to repair the damage they've done. I'd like to take us on a history of the company responsible for the calamity.
I feel like I'm gonna be even more saddened.
So,
Let me guess. They walk away paying them jack all or very, very middle.
yep.
Why?
But
God
but
damn
it
it.
it gets better.
Oh,
See, the
But
Union
wait, there's more.
the Union Carbide Corporation was an American manufacturer of chemicals and petrochemicals. Yes, I said was. They don't exist, but not for the reason you hope for.
God
Oh no.
damn it. Why is it always not why I hope?
They got their start in 1917 manufacturing gas for the U.S. Army.
Oh no, were they making mustard gas for the First World War?
Officially, they don't list that. Unofficially, it looks like it.
What do you mean officially it
so-
looks like
so-
unofficially?
Because they didn't make the gas, but they certainly provided a number of components. Officially, they manufactured filters for gas masks, which use a number of similar chemicals. However, they were technically just shipping the chemicals to the US government.
For anyone who's not watching on YouTube and on Spotify, I have my hand over my face in a full face palm.
So there's
they
nothing like releasing a toxic gas cloud into a civilian population that says you got your start as a World War I chemicals company.
yeah, they just
Oh.
basically went back to their old traditional ways. Like, oh, sorry guys, I
Yep.
forgot it's not that world no more.
Yeah.
They really said, "Oh, wait a minute! The Geneva Convention says we can't do this."
Yep. Union Carbide was a very early conglomerate. They were formed by combining a number of pre-existing petrochemical companies.
Of course.
They made a number of key ingredients, including helium, ferrozirconium, which are steel blades, and
fair.
activated carbon, which is the sort of carbon you do use in filtration systems for gas masks. So there was some life-saving effort at the very least, because that's really the only use for the carbon that we would have had. They are one of the first companies to engage in market research in order to develop their products and fields. So they are the reason the marketing department has a job.
No.
They are the reason ads are everywhere, guys.
God
No.
damn
the fact
it.
That they
They're
started
even
off
more
making,
evil than you thought.
They started off making mustard gas, so it's like we're running clinical trials to test that we have the best product on the market.
Yeah.
Look
And
at these results in Germany.
And do you know what that brought back? After the war, they began to manufacture antifreeze and radio batteries.
Oh Jesus!
Then, in World War II, they were a major contributor to the development of the atomic bomb, providing a number of reactive chemical components for our scientists on the Manhattan Project.
I hate it here, guys. I hate it here.
So we've only made it to 1945, and we're already merchants of death 2 times over. Anyone want to see the third crack at it?
No, please, no.
So now that begs the question. I really wonder what the total death count is for this one factory.
It's got to be over 20K. I do not.
Oh, of course it's over 20K.
I
They
do not
killed
believe
20K.
As it's the merchant of death, and it keeps on going. After that, they have a couple of relatively soft years. In 1957, they decide to shorten their name from Union Carbide and Carbon Corporation to the Union Carbide Corporation. In 1984, they have that wonderful disaster at Bhopal, which we are talking about now. And then, almost as if to get out of legal trouble, in 2001, they merged, like a conglomerate does, with the Dow Chemical Company, and now fly under that flag, remaining as one of the world's leading producers of chemicals and polymers, like methyl isocyanide.
Still?
Yep, because technically they're owned by the Dow Company, and Union Carbide no longer exists. Corporate America!
We're just going to dissolve here, but we're going to retain all of our assets and just become a subsidiary under this larger parent corporation.
Yep. And fun fact, Bhopal has not been cleaned up. It remains a toxic wasteland. because the Indian government will not clean it up because they do not have the money to do so. And Union Carbide refuses to clean it up, stating that I've never heard of the Union Carbide. I'm called Dow.
Oh.
And neither side does anything, and the people of Bhopal suffer.
Gee, would you look at that? Corporations nor the government having the best interest of the people? Color me shocked.
I mean, personally, I know little about the Indian government. The little that I've heard so far has been iffy at best, especially in the current situation. But also, I honestly, at this point, corporate America letting let's be real here. Honestly, at least 20K die, and still back in 1984. This is almost 40 years now.
Yep.
A whole generation, or multiple generations, probably at least two, suffering from the effects of this, and then they just say, we're not the same person anymore. We've changed. That's like the equivalent of a Twitter apology and rebranding.
Yeah.
Sir, you just put a hat on.
Don't worry.
Sir, you just put on a mustache and a hat and said, I'm not them.
Sir, those are glasses. This is a Wendy's.
Can I get a Big Mac?
Yep.
God damn it.
Anyway, the people of Bhopal do take Union Carbide to court while Union Carbide exists. And in 1989, the Supreme Court of India orders Union Carbide to pay $470 million in damages. Keep in mind, over 500,000 people now have permanent disability as a result of this, which means everyone gets maybe $100.
Oh.
Hi, I murdered your entire city. Here's $100.
Yeah, I just killed your. So like, is this $100 or is this 100 rupees?
It is 100 USD.
So
it is 100 USD a person, 470 million USD.
So I'm gonna look up the. I mean, this is gonna be the current currency exchange, so it's probably gonna be different.
It's not gonna be perfectly accurate, but it's they did get sued for that loss, and in 1998, the Union Carbide Corporation decided that it needed to be rid of certain negative assets. So it donated the wrecked Bhopal plant to the government of Madhya Pradesh.
Beautiful.
So I just looked it up.
Beautiful.
I just looked it up. $1 as of today equals 79.69 rupee. So times that by 100, it's like
7,969 rupee.
And that's just for today. I don't know what the I wasn't able. I'm not right off the bat able to do it, but still, doesn't excuse the fact that
it doesn't matter. To receive this money, you must either be dead or suffering a permanent, crippling disability that will prevent you from working for the rest of your life.
So this doesn't even go to the family members. This doesn't even go to the family members of the victims who died.
This basically went to the ones that survived.
Oh, jeez.
Because guess what? The family members of the one that died either died with them or are standing there blind, wheezing, and unable to stop shaking.
Oh, I don't like when you put it that way.
Again,
is there any other
World War I chemical gas company? What did anyone think they were gonna do?
Produce meat? I mean, they could have produced hot dogs by the end of the war. They could have done that. No, they decided to, let's just keep.
Or just go the route of Jeep and just make a wonderful consumer grade product.
Yeah, can I get some consumer grade methyl isocyanide? Let me just let me get some of that commercial grade methyl isocyanide.
No, instead of getting mustard.
Aaron is a grasshopper with a drug problem. We have established this.
No, instead of having a mustard packet, you have an aerosol can of just methyl isocyanide.
Yeah.
I feel like you just straight up die just from one snip of that.
Yeah, so
it'll be diluted.
Yeah. So the battle for justice does continue on for several years. Today, there are currently 400 tons of the gas in the form of industrial waste present on the site. The gas has seeped into the soil and groundwater,
So nothing's ever
and
gonna
the
live there
Bhopal,
again.
yeah, and the Bhopal area is now plagued with chronic health issues and the highest rate of birth defects in all of India, I believe.
Gee, if
If
only
it's
there was
not the
some
highest, it's one of the
correlation.
highest. I may not be entirely accurate in that statement, but it's definitely up there.
I mean, it could. I mean, like considering again,
You
I
are
don't know how
drinking
much.
pesticide.
Yeah, yeah. But that's also like, I mean, I don't know geographically where Bhopal is, but if there's like any major water source and anything is down, either downwind or down like water that like flows downwards from Bhopal,
Yeah.
yeah, they're probably getting these effects too.
No. So Bhopal it's in central India,
Oh
and
God, damn it.
the city is built next to what is known as Upper Lake. So it is built on a lake.
So
Yeah.
any area within that lakes region, any any population within that lakes region, and any river that comes from that lake is potentially subject to methyl isocyanide.
Which is
Yeah.
why I think 500,000 people got affected by it.
Yeah. It looks to me that like the lake for the most part feeds into a dam and a small subsidiary lake. There does not appear to be a lot of rivers on Google Maps leading out of Upper Lake. It seems to be a relatively isolated body of water,
I
which
hope
is deeply, deeply fortunate for everyone else in India.
it could. I mean, I guess it's better than
It could
being
have
on the.
been worse.
I guess it's better than being on the north end of the River Ganges,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which
Look, this isn't getting dumped in the Mississippi, so it's not killing everyone.
yeah,
Just the
The Mississippi has its own chemical problems more than likely.
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say I wouldn't drink from many U.S. rivers.
Yeah, no, that was one of the funny things that happened to me when I was in the UK. So I was like, yeah, you can just drink out of the stream. It's clean. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, if I drink out of a local river or stream here in the States, I'm getting tetanus.
Yeah.
I went kayaking over Labor Day weekend on the Illinois River.
How are you not irradiated?
It's like the episode of Seinfeld where Kramer starts swimming in the in the rivers in New York City and he just gets radioactive.
What is it? What
Yeah.
is it? The Hudson River that goes through New York?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's the
and the
Hudson.
East River. There's two of
Yeah.
them.
Oh God. Yeah. From what I've heard about the Hudson, you should be
Yeah,
tested for
No, so
everything.
and
this
that's the Illinois too. It's pretty grody.
God.
but yeah, it's pretty horrible for Bhopal. In and like these people want to trade with Flint, Michigan for water.
Oh God.
Chemical pesticides versus lead poisoning. Olympics of suffering. Here we come.
No, stop it! I need a water spray bottle. I just need to go bad column.
This is why we're virtual. Otherwise, you'd be witnessing them murder me in some sort of cathartic rage fest at all the horrible things I am informing them of.
Informing, you're making a comparison for game and for show.
I use no words on this podcast, and you know it.
All I feel is emptiness and sadness due to this capitalistic hellscape.
Yeah. So in 2004, the Supreme Court of India mandated that the government has to supply Bhopal with regular amounts of fresh drinking water.
That's better than what they're doing for Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
that's also because Jackson is predominantly African American.
Yay, American race politics.
Yeah,
We'll save that for another episode, guys.
we've covered racism in America and especially in the Deep South numerous times.
We've done Tulsa. This is not Tulsa. Please, let's stop fighting everyone. The water sucks here, okay? Not as bad as Bhopal, but still. And in 2010, Union Carbide's Indian subsidiary. This is the Indian subsidiary company of Union Carbide, which no longer exists and calls itself Dow as of the time of this lawsuit and this ruling. This is the Indian group under them, were convicted of negligence, and their executives, all of whom were Indian citizens, were arrested. No Americans are tried.
Huh. That's really convenient. I cannot imagine how that could ever be possible.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Yeah, God forbid Americans actually like take
mhm.
responsibility for anything. By the way, I just looked this up. The company is still in job for today, and apparently they have their own website. So I'm gonna
Oh
scroll through
yes,
that.
yep. One of the sources, Aaron, on the source page is Union Carbide's very own page on what happened in Bhopal.
Hey, look, they have a
Right.
section for their applications for power, water, and telecommunications.
Yep. Please don't apply.
I'm not
So,
going to, but I'm definitely going to go through this.
Don't work for.
Hey,
Don't.
look, we got their products listed here too. Let's see what we've got.
Here we go.
Conductive materials, additives and modifiers, optical materials, polyethylene, polyurethanes,
Yep.
specialty polymers and compounds.
Yeah.
so do you know what the interesting thing is? We actually have a local regional connection to the Union Carbide company.
Please no.
There is a building in downtown Chicago, right off Michigan Avenue, called the Carbon and Carbide Building. It
Yep.
is a green, gold, and black building, and it was their regional offices here in Chicago. But what's also interesting is if you were to look up that building and look at it, the design of it is tall, green, and slender with a tall, pointed end. It was constructed during Prohibition, and it was meant to resemble a wine or champagne bottle in a bucket of ice.
I hate them more, but
This is just getting worse. This
yeah,
is just
Aaron.
getting worse.
The if you go to our sources and you look at Bhopal.com, that is the Union Carbide's take on what happened. And as you can imagine, it's full of claims of justice, equity, and fair management.
Of course, it's gonna fucking be that. They need to do some PR stunts to
Hmm.
deal with this PR nightmare because that's all this is to them.
Yeah.
At least 20K dead, 500K affected. That's all this is a PR mismanagement.
Then
They do not
chairman.
care that these people have died and or been
No,
affected.
no, no, Aaron, you need to look at this. It Union Carbide Corporation and its then chairman Warren Anderson worked diligently to provide aid to the victims and attempted to set up a process to resolve their claims.
Yeah, I'm sure this man from his cozy home here in America
Yeah.
was doing all that he could to help people that he really just didn't care about.
Yeah.
And one
Yeah.
of the reasons Union Carbide got out of responsibility was the local company that owned it and operated it was an Indian company. Union
Yep.
Carbide just owned 51% of it, basically.
Yep. Yep. The McLeod Russell India Limited of Calcutta, which was renamed to Everready Industries India Limited.
how many like corporate slang terms can you add at the end of the company? Will be the historical humans limited liability corporation industry corporation.
I mean, that's how I mean, like as you said, that's how they get away with it. But if they legally owned it, shouldn't there have been any? Shouldn't there have been the argument that if they legally owned that company, and or at least that much stock in the company to have influence over it, even if they didn't have direct
I
Authority.
wonder if that's a
authority.
loophole in the Indian law or a loophole in the business proceedings in which the fact that they aren't the primary operating corporation.
Mhm. Yeah, basically what happened is we're the owner, but it's the operator's fault that things aren't up to code, even though we probably told them don't keep things up to code.
I
But
mean, think
even
about it
It's
like a
their
truck
name.
driver. They're just a driver for the transportation company. They're neither the loader or unloader. But if something happens in transit, you're not going to go after like
the company, you're going after the driver.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we can make those truck drivers drive 30-hour days.
as somebody who
Wait,
has
but there's
family,
only 24.
oh, trust me, they will still drive 30 hours a day.
It's okay. I got 3
But-
logbooks. It's fine.
But personally, since my dad was a truck driver and my brother's currently a truck driver, yeah, like I understand that, like, which is why like insurance for truck drivers is absurd, and why they have like, if it's a good trucking company, not all trucking companies are the same, but if it's a good trucking company, like if anything happens to the truck, they are told to stay in the vehicle no matter what, not even to like greet the tow truck driver or anything. But if they are at a stop and they think their truck is not okay, it's not uncommon for trucking companies to force, in quotes for a reason, their truck drivers to keep going, because if the truck driver does in fact go like drive knowing that their vehicle is in fact like malfunctioning to whatever degree, and like something happens, then yeah, it is on the truck driver. But unless like the truck driver has some sort of like evidence that their higher ups told them to do it, then they're kind of shit out of luck. But I wonder if that was the case where like the employees or anyone within that company or that subsidiary just didn't have proof that the company told them to not worry about
safety standards.
Safety, yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Erin, you're gonna love this. I left this out of the notes because I thought it was too evil, even for a World War I chemical gas manufacturer that
This is America.
Negligence poisons 500,000 people.
This is America.
How does it get worse?
If it makes money, it's probably evil.
In the Union Carbide's account, which you can read at bhopal.com for yourself, it's a public website. It says it blames the Indian government for the reason why there is still toxic waste in Bhopal, because following the disaster, the Indian government closed off the factory site and would not allow them to resume activities on site. And thus, prior to their sale of stock in the company, they could only manage to do so much to save the people of Bhopal, and spent $2 million on the effort to perform cleanup, but they couldn't do enough because the government kept them away from their manufacturing plant.
I mean, I can see where
$2 million is this great charity from this company that had a $470 million slush fund that they could just afford to pay out for ending human life.
Or permanently disabling.
I mean, if
20,000 dead, 500,000 disabled.
I mean, if there is a bit of a gridlock between the government and the company, yeah, I can see how the company can like spin that for them to give them positive PR. But also, they caused this in the first place.
And they're claiming the reason it's not fixed is because the government wouldn't let them resume activity on a chemical plant in the middle of a chemical spill.
That's like if they tried to resume nuclear activity at Chernobyl.
Yep.
Like after the fucking meltdown, they're just like, yeah, let's just
turn the reactor back on.
Yeah, like one of them's probably at least working. If we go in and start it back up again, we can also go through the cleaning process.
Yeah, but only after we start the engines up, after we start producing some more. I mean, it's safe. How else are we going to fix the damage?
Yeah. We're going to kill a few hundred workers doing this. I mean, we've already killed thousands. What's a few more?
Yeah, as long as we make them just sign like a liability waiver that they probably can't read, because
yeah, sign
let's face
waiver
it.
in English, please.
I was
gonna get your settlement payout.
I was gonna say like more like they couldn't read it because it's in a bunch of legalese.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's in English legal language, which
it's in Oxford English. Okay, no one reads that.
Oxford English is just translated Latin into English. Let's face it.
It's horrible. Yeah. And one major point here. So they are trying to clean it up. Not the company, but the government and the people of Bhopal. In 2015, their plan, and this seems to be their current plan, is to attempt to incinerate as much of the waste as possible. No major cleanup has been attempted. However, keep in mind, methyl isocyanide reacts violently with heat, and their plan is to cremate the poison.
Wait, hold
Yeah,
on.
did they
These
think this
people
through?
do not have a good plan, but it's been 50 years. They need a plan.
Yes, we shall nuke all of this toxic material.
Yep.
Oh,
It's so bad.
Jesus. You know, it's one fumble after another, but just how bad it is really tells you the level of incompetence here. Incompetence.
Yep. Yep, it is wonderful. And they all got away with it too, despite you meddling kids.
Yeah, I don't.
That's the line, right? That's how the show ends.
pretty much, yeah. Look at perfection.
God.
I don't fully understand that. And leave it up to an American company to not only leave an ecological disaster, but then also try and gaslight everyone into thinking that we tried our hardest. It was the government that really stopped us from correcting our own mistakes.
Honestly,
We're so sorry.
that's the pretty Republican like slogan for that. We tried, but the government stopped us.
Yep. And fun fact, Union Carbide's official stance on why they will not pay to clean up the poison is after the incident, the state government canceled their lease. So it's the landlord's problem now. Because I set fire to my apartment on the last day of my lease. I definitely don't owe anyone an explanation or jail time.
God, I hate this.
That is the logic they are employing. And I just want to see a poor person do that and then get away with it.
Remember,
that's just
kids,
it. That's
if you're
why-
rich, it's pay to play for any crime.
Yeah, as long as you can afford it, you can get away with anything and everything.
Yep.
That's what I tell my nephews every time I see them.
Yep.
Get rich, kid. You won't face consequences.
Yep. Affluenza, baby. The going rate for maiming 500,000 people is $470 million. That's what we learned today.
So, wait, give me a cost breakdown on that. What is that divided up?
That's less than $100 a person.
Yeah, but what's the exact number? I need to know.
I don't have the exact number.
But I have a calculator in my pocket. 470.
So just divide four. I'm not doing this for you.
470 million by 520,000. 500 maimed, 20,000 dead.
Yeah.
That's 903 a person. So slightly less than $1,000 a person.
Yeah.
But still, for the loss of life, or the fact that you are blind.
I'm off by 1-0. Sorry about that.
You're either blind, you're deaf, you're permanently maimed. Like the fact that I'm gonna hop up on a pedestal here for just a moment.
Oh, like we've not.
But like the fact that there's so many examples, so many numerous examples of corporations absolutely destroying our environment, and then they turn around and tell us that it's our fault, or that it's the government's fault, or that it's anyone else's fault except for the person or corporation in charge of the natural disaster. And the thing that frustrates me a lot is I'm all for trying to use renewable resources. I'm all for trying to use clean energy. But when you look at the total carbon emissions, the top 8 corporations contribute like 90% of the world's pollution.
Remember, kids, as long as you use paper straws or metal straws, you'll be helping the environment. Now watch as this company puts in at least 50,000 tons of pollution into the air, the water, and the grasses around you.
It's the greatest robbery in American history because they quite literally are just robbing us of a future environment, robbing our kids of a clean environment, robbing people of clean drinking water. Like, I don't know, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, you can be pro-business, but you can be pro-business in an ecologically friendly way.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But that doesn't make the most money.
yeah. And hopping off the pedestal, because it's been bugging me round and round, on and off. I've done a little more digging on this stream onto the chemical composition of mustard gas. FBI, please do not knock on my door.
Not again.
Inside your house.
And
we're watching you from the walls.
yeah. And I think I'm pretty sure they contributed ingredients for mustard gas.
Well, yeah, you don't need to dig too deep to figure that out.
Considering how easy it is to actually make it, honestly.
Don't say that. Don't say that like you know.
For legal purposes.
I was in the Scouts.
You learned how to make it in the Scouts?
What didn't I learn?
Are you trying to like go after the other scout troop from across the river? All right, boys, we're gonna drop mortars and they're gonna contain gas.
To be fair, it's not like
in a campfire and it's like a grenade.
To be fair, when I learned this, it wasn't exactly like scout leaders who taught us this. This was just other scouts. Like other scouts who knew this information is how I learned this. Like that's how I learned. Like all kinds of other fun stuff that I legally shouldn't talk about.
Look, I am just generally shocked in the face of evil and persistent evil and recurring themes of evil that like I have to like double check that like no, they can't have always been the bad guys.
Like you think that was like some fault. Like some sort of fall from grace situation. Nope, this is just corporate America.
Yeah, no, there's a history of abuse and of money. Yeah, no.
Like, how have you lasted 100 years? Oh, right, you rigged the system.
Yeah, and then that's when you just go, oh, right, yeah, I should have realized.
Just remember, all the politicians are all on account that
I understand chaos. I don't understand evil.
But see, that's just it. A lot of these companies use chaos and evil to benefit themselves and still somehow profit off of it.
I don't have malice in me, so it's completely alien.
You don't have any malice?
I don't have malice.
You're a dungeon master. How do you not have malice?
I substitute chaos for everything. It's a wonderful substitute for a personality and a soul. And the fact of going to hell.
You're like the chef that discovers salt and pepper. I've discovered the seasoning, the proper seasoning. Your chicken, add a little salt and pepper.
That's like when a chef discovers the basis of all seasoning, which is just salt and pepper.
Yeah,
and
literally.
Then like the floodgates open.
I'm just crazy. Okay, I'm just a crazy person. Dungeon master.
A little sugar, a little spice, a little compound X.
I really do not understand evil.
I mean,
what we are staring into today, class, evil.
See, I dabble in the dark arts.
Literally, just money is the situation, and it's
all money.
Like they were obviously making money off of this, but the idea was to limit the amount of money they would lose from the situation. If they could minimize the amount of money they could have paid, the amount of money that they could have lost in total with the company after it was dissolved and then merged with Dow Chemical Company, that was enough for them.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. These people were running this factory with open neglect. It was understaffed, underfunded, and every protocol had been shortcut.
That sounds like the school systems in America currently.
Also, for a record, we talked about the oil spills in the Gulf, but the deep water, or the Deep Horizon water oil spill, the Deep Horizon oil spill, I keep adding water in there, it's not in there, but
it's
that
underwater.
The payout was $20.8 billion.
Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, but like
the numbers go up.
Realistically, how much? Like, what's that like gonna look like?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The numbers go up, but so does inflation.
So, all right, let's do 20 billion in 1984 dollars.
You want me to get a cash converter out?
Oh God, I'm an archaeologist. The math that I do is all like statistics and geometry. I don't do inflation. Let's see.
All right.
Oh yeah, I did go through that website by the
All right.
way.
So, $1 in 1984 is $2.85 today.
Yeah, so that
So
470 ended up being about 1.3 bill in current day dollars.
yeah.
So they paid 1/20th of what Deepwater Horizon did. Didn't have to clean up the spill, didn't have to remedy their effects, and also their payout was basically $1,000 per person, $900 a person.
And that's
Which-
just off our shore.
It's just a few hundred people.
Few 100,000.
God, I hate this country sometimes.
And the thing is, it didn't even happen in our country. It happened overseas. If it happened here, then there would have been more ramifications, guaranteed.
Honestly, I sometimes wonder about that after like
I don't know. I've seen too much stuff about the Dakota pipeline to really believe that.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
let's be honest. They'd blame whoever was sitting on that land at the time. And it's like,
It-
oh, the oil burst under you. You must be bad.
or they're just like, well, you know, it was gonna happen. That was a calculated risk, and you were acceptable casualties.
I mean, that's part of the research I did prior to knowing you guys. Was I worked with indigenous communities trying to fight pipelines by looking at traditional cultural properties, by saying these places, these plants, these sites hold cultural and spiritual value, and this is one of the reasons why you shouldn't build a pipeline here.
See, Justin, that's the problem. The value isn't monetary, and that's why they had no ground to stand on in the eyes of businesses.
Well, that's just
Or
it.
the
The
law.
businesses think everyone has a price. But for the law, there are some provisions, which weirdly enough were signed into law by Richard Nixon.
Okay,
talking-
I mean, I could see it with Richard Nixon. If you said Reagan, I would have been more shocked.
Yeah, Nixon weirdly was very environmental and very historically preservation focused.
Yeah. So was Theodore Roosevelt. He wanted nature to exist so he could hunt it.
Hey, you know what? There is some
There is
value
twisted
in-
logic to U.S. presidential environmentalism. There's really twisted logic.
To be fair, Teddy Roosevelt
Big
wanted to
fa.
preserve it and wanted it to be able for people to use in the future. There is some argument that can be made for substantive hunting, like to hunt what you eat and et cetera, et cetera.
To be fair, I do love a good bit of venison.
Yes,
Go eat
coming
your
from a man
burgers
who
in a
hunted
cave.
bear for sport.
But also, like, it's nonetheless, it's still a bit weird, a little bit under Nixon.
Yeah, given his legacy, but he signed a lot of historic preservation acts into law, which gives rise to a lot of American archaeology. But the tribes are able to make these arguments by using those laws and using environmental protection against these corporations, because they could say, well, look at this wetland. It's protected. It's home to, oh, guess what? The bald eagle. Are you going to build a pipeline over bald eagles?
Don't be
Absolutely.
ridiculous. The pipeline goes under the Eagles.
Yeah, the eagles are flying in the sky. This is on
If
the
the
ground.
Eagles cannot be bothered to come to the town hall meetings and participate in local government like everybody else, then they don't get a say.
Honestly, I
Thank
feel
you,
like
Vogans.
I feel like I feel like yeah, that was a real argument, wasn't it?
That is the argument made by the Vogans in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for why they get to blow up Earth without Earth's consent.
Fair.
I just imagine the oil company releases a propaganda photo, like 1940s era, of like 3 eagles sitting on top of the pipeline going, even these American birds agree with American pipelines.
Oh, the jaywalking argument where American auto manufacturers made jaywalking illegal so that cars could drive faster and more recklessly.
Yeah, basically.
That's a fun thing of history, guys.
Yeah.
And that's what we're witnessing here in Bhopal and everywhere else, apparently. Because
Corporations
God
blaming
help
people.
us. God.
All right. So I think we've ranted enough about corporations and everything. If you guys
Bhopal.
enjoyed watching today's episode, be sure to leave a like down below and be sure to subscribe for any of our future podcasts. Colum, what do we have coming up in 2 weeks? What's our next podcast looking like?
Yes, our next podcast is we are going to jump out from the 20th century all the way back to biblical times, if you can
Oh
believe it.
man.
The
We are
Bible?
we're going back to the Canite people and their mythology. The
Ooh.
Canaanites are a people mentioned in the Bible as among the original inhabitants of Phoenicia and what is now Israel, before the Israelis arrive in the Bible. There's,
This this is gonna get fun.
it's going
Yeah.
to be fun. I'm going to anger Christian America
I feel like we're
Woo!
gonna end up. Well, actually, you know
and
what?
the
We'll save it
nation
for
of
the next one.
Israel.
If you can't tell from home, we are trying to systematically try and target each individual group.
I-
This week we were trying to upset capitalists and environmentalists.
And
Next week,
Republicans.
Corporate America. Here we go.
corporate. Yeah. But thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys in 2 weeks with our episode about the Canite people. Thank you for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.